So you seem like, were you a good student? Were you, or, what was your, education like, your high school like for you?
High school was tough. It wasn't, I've learned now at 50 years old that I've had ADHD my whole life. When you have children who are diagnosed with it, they tell you, oh, it's genetic. And I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, he focuses, no problem. I'm like, okay, it's me, right? It's me. So focus was an issue, but I was always involved with TV. Like I started working in television news at 14. So my high school was more like I was not popular. I was the nerdy kid. And I wasn't a straight A student, no.
When did you find out you had ADHD?
About 6 months ago.
I just found out like several years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, they put me in a special school for an all school at UCLA, and I just thought there's something wrong with me. And they forgot about it, but there was always something missing with me, and somebody told me that's what it was.
But they do tell you that students with ADHD, like when they find their passion and when they're focused about the thing that they love the most, they excel. And, Jacob's a prodigy piano player, and the pianist or the teacher was like, please don't medicate him. It's like most of my top students, have ADHD. And so it says a lot for, I mean, I'm not against the medication, but for my children, I'm like, when life gets harder and harder and harder, we'll take a look at those things. Maybe they would have helped, but for right now, a third grader and a fifth grader, there's no way that we're going to do that right now.
Yeah, my youngest ADHD also, and they talk about that. I won't say who they are, but I was like, no, man, you take advantage of that. That's hyper focus.
And I also have seen kids that have been medicated, and that changes their personality, and there are lots of things that they lose. So I'm not saying that's with everybody, but it is a concern, and I'm like, if I don't need to tamper with a chemical, the chemistry in the brain, then let's work on therapy. Let's work on how we can support and how we can help the best that we can. But yeah, life would have been a little different if our parents knew a lot the way that we know today.
Right. We just kind of sweat it out.
Mm-hmm.
So
or got beaten out.
Yeah, right. So college, did you major in film? What was college like for you?
I was a broadcast journalism major, University of Miami. The years that we were national champions. So it was a good time to be at University of Miami. And I was a theater double major. So I was always focused on creative arts.
I read about your career and everything. Now, did you jump right into, film right after college, or what'd you get into?
Well, I was working for a production company that did infomercials. So for your audience who don't know about infomercials, when you're in infomercials, like direct response ads, but wait, there's more, all of those things. When you're on the set, and you're young, they are very open about you doing everything. So you can do everything from graphic design to editing to shooting to talent coordination to producing. So I really got a lot of my work ethic from those sets, because it was just, I was allowed to do everything. Just like on college, the news, I guess, what do you call it? The news station on campus, I was on camera, I was behind the scenes, I was editing. It was all of that. And those were the years we were doing A/B roll. I'm dating myself. There was no Avid. There was no digital. It was like, okay, are you ready to hit the red button? Because once you hit that button, it's over. And so those were, my formative years in entertainment, like to really decide that this is what I wanted to do. And then I was a religious Jew at a time. I had gone to Israel, had come back, and I was Shomer Shabbat, which means I was keeping kosher. I didn't use electricity from Friday to Saturday night. I didn't use a telephone, and my family wasn't religious at all. But then I had the opportunity in between. I was producing Jewish educational documentaries for Chabad, for the Rebbe, and that I talk a little bit about in the book. And then I had the opportunity to direct a music video and produce a music video for Julio Iglesias. And I was really young.
Because the two match with each other, the
Totally.
Jewish education and Julio Iglesias.
Exactly.
I totally see the connection.
Right. So you'll love this. So he says, okay, Stephanie, you can produce the video. And the only time he wants to do this is on Rosh Hashanah. Right. This is like God.
You're like, Julio, listen.
Right. So I said, Julio, can we do it a different time? Meanwhile, I'm so young that I'm like, this is going to change my career if I actually do this. And he's like, Stephanie, I'm Jewish too. I'm like, July church, you're not Jewish, right? But
Julio Iglesias is Jewish?
That's what he says, because he comes from a Marrano background. So it was like, in some way, shape, or form. I said, well, if you are, then you wouldn't tell me that it would be okay to do this, right? So I ultimately made the decision. I'm a total immersion kind of person. So I was like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. If I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. So I ended up producing the music video on set in Bogota, Colombia, with a very famous Mexican artist as the star of his video. And it changed the trajectory of my career, but I stopped being a religious Jew.
And you had to eat treif.
No, I didn't eat treif.
Okay, all right. I was curious.
I was like, little by little. I had apples and honey on the set, though.
Okay, well, that's nice.
I made it my own.
Hardcore.
Total.
Was it during Sukkah or something? Apples and honey?
I know. I was Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's very Jewy so far, but that's good. Look who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so now you're doing all that, but then your career changes before you have a family and kids and stuff.